Every odd number ever has the letter E in it. This is Epic Thoughts. And we back like we never left. Haha. Now, welcome for another episode of Epic Thoughts. I don't have my buzzer because this is improv. Impromptu.
Impromptu.
Impromptu. Thank you. As you can tell by the way, I just messed up that word. But I'm Ramon. You see on the screen right there is Carla, one of your favorite people in the world. People have been telling me stuff like, yo, I like Epic Thoughts. It's cool. I like it when you do it, but it's better when Carla's there. So I'm
That's
like, okay.
ancient.
I promise you. I know this is as recent as like last week.
What?
Yes, I'll tell you later. But there's
Okay.
been people who've been like, yo, man, you ain't had Carla on. Carla's one of my favorite people. I'm like, really? Okay.
Well,
I
that's
said, Epic Thoughts is great, but it's even better when Carla's on. So I was like, dang, okay. So
it's because we get spicy.
because we get spicy. And you got good opinions about stuff. But thanks for everybody who's watching us. If anybody's watching us, no one's watching us right now. But for those of you guys who catch us on an old episode or whatever, thanks for tuning in and thanks for supporting Heritage Park with your attention because that's what we need right now is your attention. And let's draw some attention to what's going on right now. Let's talk about for a minute, right? Texas, um, your hometown, your home state now. It's not your hometown. Pretty
No.
far from you, right? That city is pretty far from you.
Yeah, it's like past San
It's by
Antonio.
San Antonio, yeah. So it happened today, right?
Yep.
An 18-year-old man. I say man because once you start doing stuff like this dude did, you're a man. An 18-year-old man walked into an elementary school, open fired, killing 13 children and a teacher.
I think it's more now. I don't know if it's all of them are children, but 20, I think 21 or 20 people are dead.
Ugh, another mass shooting. This one in the beautiful state of Texas. Um, this is sad. And it's gotten to the point where there's a shooting every day because today there's a shooting on a subway in New York. So um, it was either today or yesterday. I can't remember off the top of my head. But we're having a lot of shootings again.
Wow, in New York again.
Yeah, in New York again. This is actually in New York City, like Brooklyn area. So, but the shooting in New York was only one person got killed, but still, a person is a person.
Right.
But this is sad. 18-year-old person walked on, which freaks me out because I'm like, how does an 18-year-old walk on campus and open fire?
Apparently it was he went to the high school in the same neighborhood,
Mhm.
shot his grandma, and then went and shot up the school.
What does this mean, Carla?
I really don't know. I would like to know a lot more about what happened, but he's dead. There's a
Mhm.
lot of things circulating on the internet, and I don't know what to believe. I think mental health is a big thing in this country. And this is a 18-year-old. I mean, to me, he's obviously an adult by law, but he's still a child in a lot of ways. Why are these 18-year-old men doing this?
Mhm.
Mass shootings at such a young age. It's very odd.
Mhm.
Um, and it's really sad.
I think about this situation and everything that's is going on in this world. Like, this is probably we talk every day. Carla, you and I talk every day. I think it's safe to say that we're the two best friends that anyone could never ask for. Yeah, and I mean that wholeheartedly too. It's never been like we've talked about today about how times used to be for us and how the stuff we used to get when we were younger. And I'm just like, yo, it's just nuts the kind of world we live in today. You have to keep your back, you have to watch over your back all the time, and everyone is so like on edge. It's it's just a crazy, crazy world, and I don't know. I'm feeling really torn between. I'm not torn between anything. I'm just like I'm saddened for the world and what people are going through. You know. we all got junk going on, but it's just when you think about mental health and what people are struggling with, and people are struggling in silence, and I think about like all these all these groups on social media that, well, I'm right wing, I'm this wing, I'm that wing, I'm this, I'm that. Um, all of that is just like smokescreen, and it's keeping people hiding in their crap, you know, hiding in their junk, and never being able to fully come out of stuff that they're tormented with. You know, I feel like you made a joke today, which is pretty true, pretty accurate, where you said IEHP should be paying you the amount of hours that you spend listening to me talk and work my stuff out. But truth be told, truth be told, if you wasn't there to if we weren't there for each other to kind of throw things at each other, I think we'd lose our marbles.
That's fair.
Yeah, I think we lose.
Well, I think my biggest issue with this, and even the mass shooting in Buffalo, the shooting today on the New York subway, the shooting, that happened on the subway also, I don't know, what was it, a month ago?
I think 4 weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna we're gonna start. The reason why these mass shootings happen are important, of course.
Hmm.
Facts are important. But what I don't like is for our media and political system and our representatives to start playing identity politics and pitting us against each other.
Hmm.
Um, the root of this, of any of these shootings, is hate,
Yeah.
anger. If you want to get super spiritual, people who do this type of stuff, they got to be listening to voices in their head that are telling them to do these crazy, horrible things, to take innocent lives like this. And we can, speculate all day long, but the truth is that the further away that people fall from morality, and if you want to take it to a different level, from the love of God, the more we're going to see things like this happen.
Hmm.
And it's really sad.
Mm. I had a scary thought, man. This is a scary, scary thought. What do we do when it's unfortunate to say this, but I'm gonna have to say this. Um, it's it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's going to be very unfortunate. We know that unfortunately this is going to happen again, right? Living in this country, we can't be ignorant to the idea that this can happen again, or it will never happen again. It will happen again, unfortunately. What do we do when the characters? Now we're going to another level. When the profile of the shooters change.
Today was a different profile
Today
than
was a
what
different
we're used
profile.
to.
Yes, this was a different profile.
I'm
What if they be like this was a Latino man?
um From the stuff that I've seen on the internet, I can't confirm. It looks like he was also trans,
Mm,
or at least he liked to dress in girls' clothes.
yeah. So the profiles are changing. So then that, I mean, so that means we can't have the same arguments that we're having if the profile of the shooter is starting to change. You know what I'm saying? And when that starts happening, we start going in this circle. And here's another scary thing. When do we get the profile of the super saved evangelical who's cleansing the world?
Listen, I mean, we have to abandon our biases when it comes to certain things, and realize that there is a root to a lot of these things, and only hate would possess somebody to do something this disgusting.
Hmm. Yes,
I
this is
mean,
this is bad.
in any of these situations.
Yeah, and
And hate for people could be to manifest itself in different ways,
hmm
you know?
yeah,
How easy though, just think about the conversations that me and you have. How easy is it for your mind if you allow it to just wander
Mm-hmm.
and just snowball into just worse and worse and worse because you're constantly playing things over and over and over and over in your head?
Yes. And
Very
on top
easy.
of that, it's very easy. On top of that, and then think about let's just go there for a second because I'm not going to be foolish enough to think that you and I are the only ones that have really authentic conversation. Well, actually, we might be. We may be some of the few that have very authentic conversations. I don't think there's a secret between us that the other one don't know, right?
Sometimes I wish. I was like, oh, I don't know.
It's TMI. Like we and we'll even like it's so funny because we both have told each other stories where we're like, okay, listen, what I'm about to tell you is TMI, but
It's true. It's true.
yeah. But like but with that being said, there's a freedom and there's safety involved where it's like, yo, I can tell this person pretty much anything,
Right.
and then it's not being judged. And I think people don't have that. They don't have that kind of space or the community to where they can process stuff out loud, right? Like a lot of people don't believe in therapy. You and I, we are very strong proponents of therapy. You're studying to train to become a therapist, which you pretty much already are a therapist. You just ain't got the paperwork
To
to
back
keep
it
you
up.
out of jail. Yeah, to keep you out of jail for practicing. And I go to therapy every other week. And today I went to therapy, and I literally told him, I said, "Listen, I just need to come in place and just sit down and chill for a minute. I need a timeout." And I sat in there for an hour. In the last 30 minutes, I didn't get to tell you this. The last 30 minutes of our session, we were just cracking jokes and telling stories. And he even laughed and said, "You got the best stories." So it was
True.
we were just telling stories. But I think about that. You have that, and then we're coming out of COVID, and people still, even though COVID's kind of over, we're out there doing our thing. People are leaving the house, doing their stuff. We still kind of live a siloed life where we're still kind of to ourselves. We're still not really opening up to new friendships, new relationships. There's not a lot of new stuff blooming. Like I don't have really new friends. I just reconnect with old ones. We're still cautious because somebody comes up and they want to be a friend, and then you have to process like, well, where do they stand on this? Are they going to hate me because I stand for this? Are they going to not like me because I post something on Facebook and stuff like that? And then our social life, the biggest majority of our social life is done online through social media.
Right.
And, and so if you either like me, you click the like button, or you're against me and you put a comment or unfollow. There's no place to process anything. There's no community anymore. And as long as we still live that life, we're going to see more situations like this. And it's just because I'll tell you what, I remember today during my therapy session, I was talking. I'm just going to be honest because it's epic thoughts, whatever. I talked about my bouts with suicide in my session today, and I was making light of it, right? Because I was making light of it. I was just saying, I thought that I was worth more dead than alive, and then I did the budget and found out that everyone's going to have to use my insurance policy to pay my student loan. So then I'm not worth more dead than alive. So I was like, well, I guess I can't do that no more. And he was laughing, but it was like he was laughing because the way I said it, not because like, haha, you can kill yourself, but I think it's because me and you have had deep conversations where I put it out there. This is what I'm thinking. And people feel shame because they'll have thoughts or they have
Right.
those. And there's no place, nobody to share that with or bounce that off with anybody else. And that kind of just triggers and it just stays in there. If it stays in there and it festers,
Right.
it festers. Like, I don't know what kind of person I'd be if we didn't have our standing 7 a.m. call.
Y-
Yeah.
because what it does is it takes root in your worldview of who you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if that root is not no bueno,
Yeah.
that fruit's gonna be no bueno.
And it's gonna grow. People don't realize that stuff grows and it gets
Yep.
stronger and it's
Yep.
hard to control it. And yeah, man. So you're my standing 7, and Tramel's my standing 7:30 every morning.
Um, but let's keep going on that analogy. I mean, we've talked about this so many times. and I'm always like, "Oh, are you turning into the DC villain today?
Yeah.
Into the Marvel villain today?" Because the truth is, perspective is important, but we all have those moments where we're like, this is my reason, and I'm just not gonna let up on this one, and I'm gonna be somebody's villain today.
Yeah, yeah. So this, yeah. And you know what's funny that you say that? 'Cause I was thinking about today. My friend Charlie Battaglia, who's been on the show a couple times, he posted something about overrated movies, and I said Joker. Todd Phillips' Joker was an overrated movie. I thought it was just completely overrated. People make such a big fuss about it, and then, ooh, dang,
Sorry.
that's
Oh
Texas time.
gosh.
That's Texas
It's
time right there, working.
10
It's
o'clock
10
here.
o'clock over there. It's 10 o'clock. Um, we
Sorry.
normally pre-record, but we didn't pre-record today because I was like, I called. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I called Carla at 7:20. I texted Carla at 7:22. I said, "Yeah, I'm about to do Epic Thoughts. Come on."
Wait, can I add to that?
Oh,
You
yeah,
want to know part? I don't know if you'll let me share this,
I'll
but I'm
let you
gonna.
share. Okay.
Part of the reason why I obliged was because, you know what? I was like, I can't be another person that Ramon can't rely on.
Dang. Damn. Okay
And
then.
maybe you wouldn't have internalized it that way,
Nah.
but that's the thought that came to my mind because I said, well, what is the worst? Like, I just have to put on a different shirt, put a bra on, put a little mascara on, just
Mhm.
swipe down the edges, and I'm like, I love talking to Ro. We talk
Right.
all the time, but
Yeah.
I don't want to be a part of that problem,
Uh,
especially when I feel like I could manage.
you're doing very well. You're doing very well. So I appreciate that. I never thought that, but I do appreciate that you did get on it with me because sometimes I'm here by myself, like, so let me show you
How
this video.
about the Mavericks
How,
and Golden
and
State?
Warrior, how about that series? How's it going? I should be watching it. Tell me how it goes. But no, what I was telling you about the Joker is I felt like oh, Anisha, you're a good friend, Carla, and it's late. True friend. People don't have that and need that. That's true.
Oh, love you, Anisha.
It's definitely true. Well, I was talking about the Joker, how I felt like it was overrated, and then I realized what Joker meant for everybody. Like it was an origin story of a person who's trying their best to get through life, and all these external stimuli was getting in their head, in that person's head, and they just snapped. And I think people related to that because they were like, "Yo, that's me. That I'm that person that I would never snap. I probably never become the Joker. Well, there's always a handful like today. The dude, this is, but that's why people loved it so much because it told a story of a character trait that they can relate to. Like everyone has that moment where they're like, dude, this world is about to drive me crazy.
Well, let's put it. I'm gonna take it to a spiritual place,
Okay.
but let's take it here, and this is what me and you have talked about.
Okay.
You're talking about the Joker with Joaquin Phoenix, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Heavy movie. I thought it was for all intents and purposes, I thought it was an excellent movie,
Hmm.
a heavy movie.
Yes.
Um, but the movie depicted a person, a real person in society who deals with mental health, who the system has failed.
Yeah.
In addition to the system failing, the community has failed.
Hmm.
So, what happens to a person who has a mental condition that they can't control without medication, or and we can talk about the layers to this, right?
Hmm.
What do we do? Who is responsible? Who's responsible?
Mm.
What is our government supposed to do?
Yeah.
What have we entrusted the government to do? We have given the government as the church, okay?
Hmm.
And the church, we can talk about the church as being a physical building, or we can talk about the church being a community of people. Me and you have talked about the difference between the two.
Yeah.
We have given people of God as the church, we have given the government the responsibility to do what Christ has called us to do, which is to be the hands and the feet of Christ.
Yo.
And then you have the Joker,
Mm.
because we're afraid, and he's weird, and he's possessed, and he's I could just think of all the things that people would say. And you know what? There may be some deliverance or whatever if we're going along with the Joker.
Mhm.
That needs to be there, but how can you ever reach those people if you're afraid of something you don't understand?
Mm.
And so, anyway, that's my thought about why I appreciate a film like The Joker. I just don't think the solution is to give more power to the government. I think the people in the church need to step up.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about that because I like that. Because my next question was going to be, what's the church's role in this thing? Um, I'm just gonna say it. You know, no,
Yeah.
they're gonna be mad. We can't keep clarifying what we're gonna say. We've been doing it. We did it 4 times already on the show. Like, well, I'm just gonna go there. Um,
Just go there.
Them go there. I think the church as a whole, there are some churches who are doing very well. You know,
Yes.
when I say do very well, I mean they're doing the work of Christ, and they're preaching the gospel. But there's other churches where I feel like they're confused,
Mm.
and I don't want to say they're being taught wrong, but they're led in a different direction than what
Okay.
Christ would have done, would do, especially in a country like America. Think about it this way: in a country like America, where liberty is everywhere, liberty is everywhere. Would Jesus have the same kind of statements that we preach all day, every day, in
Mm.
a land where this freedom is rampant,
Hmm.
where people have a freedom? Like in Jerusalem, people didn't have these freedoms, right? And then to add on to the freedoms that people didn't have, the people also had the Torah. So they had government law, and then they had Mosaic law. You know what I'm saying? So with all these rules and regulations, Jesus was able to preach, and he preached a message um in the aspect of all these laws and regulations through just not underneath the law, the Mosaic biblical Torah law, but also the regime of being underneath a Greece regime, the Roman Empire. So now that there's freedom, the freedom now has gotten to the place where we can do things, where we can be free to help other people. And I will tell you this much, Carla. I post something on Instagram and Facebook. If you haven't followed me, I'm not talking about Carla. I'm talking about you, listener. If you don't follow me on Instagram, I have a post that there was somebody drowning, and there was somebody at the dock saying, "Oh, I'll pray for you," instead of helping the person come out of the situation. And I had this long speech about basically the scripture that has always hit me hard was when people say, "I'll pray for you," but they had the resources to help. And I'm not talking about abusing people who have versus people who have not. You know what I'm saying? But like when you're calling yourself a believer, and you're sitting there saying you can feed somebody, like you can make somebody a cake, you can make somebody a sandwich, and you don't make them the sandwich, and you just say, I'm gonna pray for you. You're not doing the work of the Lord. But if you preach, well, the reason you're hungry is because you're living in sin. How is that doing anybody
Anything.
any good?
Anything.
Anything, but we do that. I've had people say, well, the reason you're struggling in this area is because you got sin in your life. And then they, leave with a full pizza as I'm starving on the side of the road. I'm like, well, think of what that guy do. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like it, and I'm just being real because I, and it was funny. The reason I brought up the post is because I don't want to pull it up because it takes too much time. I've had more people like and comment on that post, and I got so many DMs and messages from people saying thank you so much. That spoke to me, because it was like, yo, there's that many people who are hurting that the church is not looking at. And at the same time, I know some of these people are lay ministers. Some people have been going to church for 20, 30 years. They've been in the ministry. They've been giving their tithes and their offering. They've done everything they can. They've killed themselves for these ministries. And it's at the end of the day, it's like, yo, now it's at the point where people are hurting, and they're scared to speak up because they don't want to be alienated by their own church. And think about that. Like if and I'm not trying to be critical of the church because it's the bride of Christ that we're talking about here, but at the same time, what we've done with it, what we've muddied the wedding gown of the bride of Christ, and we've made it to be uh corruptible.
What we've done with it is we've made the gospel about us, and it's not.
Hmm. We have made it about us.
In America, in our society, we like think because, that we're just like all that in a bag of chips, because we're free and we got the Constitution. Like, I don't know. I'm
Mm.
just
Well,
we're,
that's what it is. Yeah, you're
yeah,
right.
which is a great thing. I'm not saying that it's not. What I'm saying is now that there's a lot of pushback on our freedoms as a nation and maybe even the church, you are really going to see where people's relationship is it, are they loyal to the the tradition of going to church, or are they really loyal to Christ?
Hmm.
Where is that loyalty? And are you doing it for the gram, or are you doing it because the Bible says to minister to the least of these?
Hmm. And there's so misunderstanding. There's so misinterpretations. There's so misteachings. I'm not even sure if we teach all the things accurately and correctly. You know what I'm saying? But what we do is we err on the side of the person. You know what I'm saying? Instead of err on I gotta be right. You know what I'm saying? So it's I feel like the church we're just in a weird time. There's not enough action. There's just not enough action. Like to bring back this whole situation of oh, let's change it, not change the subject, about let's go this direction. I was telling you about Eric Adams. Was it Eric Adams?
The mayor.
Yeah, I don't think it was him that said it. Somebody had said something, and I think Eric Adams made reference to it, but somebody said it before him, and then he said it in an interview on 2020 with Anderson Cooper. And I know if you're a Republican conservative, you'd probably be mad 'cause I mentioned a Democratic person, Eric Adams, but just look him up. He's a good dude. And do your research. I
Are we
like
are we that are we that polarized that, like, God, anyway, go ahead.
I hope not, but Eric Adams is a good dude, mayor of New York. He's been there since November of last year, so
Give
he
him a chance.
give him a chance. He just got the job, but he's a cool brother. I was like, man, LA need a mayor like this dude, and he's made a statement um not picket protesting, and he was like, people protest because it's cool, and
Interesting.
he said we protest because it's cool. Like, oh, we need to make a stand as a people. We're gonna go walk down such and such street to that's what it was. It was Eric Adams seconded, but my friend Doug Wood on his podcast talked about it. We're gonna go and we're gonna march, but then there's no action after the march. There's nothing.
Activism is trendy.
It's trendy from everything from we're gonna get hated for this, but everything from women's rights to pro-life to pro-choice to Black Lives Matter. It's
Hashtags don't mean nothing.
it means nothing, but we act like it means something. But the truth of the matter is the people who are posting this stuff have battles in their heads that they'll never share with anybody else because why would I want to? I feel comfortable in this community of people, even though it's extremely tribal, and the community would turn on me if they knew how I really felt about certain things. And there's no action. There's no action behind anything in churches at some level has gotten to the point too where we just a bunch of people in the building being activists as well. We need to preach against this, or we need to stop this, or we need to do this, or we can go and give Christ to people by being his hands and feet, finding out what people need, or like eating with people, spending time with people.
Jesus is nonpartisan in essentially,
Yes, he
you
really
know,
is. Yeah.
and I'm not suggesting that in your own life you shouldn't choose one way or another. What I'm saying is it shouldn't matter.
Yeah, it
When
should.
you're giving people the gospel, it shouldn't matter
Hmm. And
what they believe in
right,
in that regard.
I believe, and I think people have gotten it confused. because people have talked about when you preach the gospel, man, you're gonna make enemies. Um, I think that they get it confused. I think that when you preach the gospel, you will make enemies, but the Bible talks about Jesus says, in I believe it was Matthew, where he says, "A man's enemies will be that in this whole household."
Hello.
So when you preach the true, accurate gospel, your enemies will be those in your circle. Your enemies will be, but why would they become enemies? Because you've now gone to preach the gospel to people who are not like your group, that are don't think like your people, that that won't go to your church. You know what I'm saying? So I think in the truest form, the gospel doesn't push away a sinner. Because if the gospel push away a sinner, how's it good? But a gospel reaches and pulls a sinner to Christ. But you preaching the true gospel would would piss off a religious person. Because think about
100%.
who
But
killed Jesus. It was religious people killed Jesus.
but what is religion?
Religion is the laws. It's the we need to stand for this. It's the bylaws that we set. Um, I
Or
made go ahead.
no, or religion is the worship of man.
The worship of man. There it is.
That's what religion is.
Mm-hmm. I have a song where I don't know what song it is and I don't know what album. You just have to go listen to all my songs and figure it out. But I have a line in one of my songs and I said, "What's the battle worth? It's the church versus the world. But when did the bylaws replace the whole word?"
Mm.
You know, it was funny when I took a job at a church somewhere. I'm not gonna call out that church, but I took a job at a church somewhere, and they gave me their bylaws one day, and because I broke their bylaw, and it was a stupid little bylaw, like I wore sneakers to church or something like that. It was something as stupid as that, and they
No.
gave me their bylaws, and their bylaw book was literally this thick, and it broke down. There was
I'm
a
sorry.
that's okay. There is a penalty fee, Carla, for missing your tithe. It was in the
What?
yes, there was a penalty for missing your tithe. So if you missed a tithe, and it was 2 weeks since your payday, the bylaw states that you had to give 25% of your income.
Are you kidding?
I am not kidding.
And nobody sued this church?
Bro, if I listen,
I'm
I
not in the
was
name of suing, but that's ridiculous.
right.
Like,
I
come on.
was sent to people's houses at times to collect offerings.
They made you a collector
I was the grease man. I was the grease man.
and you did it?
I part of my job description. Like I work. Listen, I believe in Colossians 3:23, Carla.
That's hilarious.
Whatever your
I'm
hand
just
finds to do,
kidding. I
you do
mean,
it. I was
that's
the
an
grease.
awkward situation to be in for
It's a
sure.
very awkward situation, and sometimes I would be like, I promise you, I don't work for them no more, and I hope they're not watching. But there was times I would go to Burger King instead of the person's house. It come back like yeah, he went home.
And you come back with the shake like,
I'm like he went home. He went home, boss.
oh my gosh. Um,
Exactly, Anisha.
that's
These are
first.
yeah. But now I was a greaser, man. I was a grease man. I and there was times, Carla, where people would come to church and tell the pastor, "I think there's a demon in my house," and I was sent over there to rebuke it. And bro, I do the same thing. I be in there, I throw some oil around, like, yeah, I got him out. He good. He's straight.
You ain't even right.
There was times I really prayed. There was a couple moments. I ain't gonna lie. There was a couple moments where like, yo, there is something in here, and I'm gonna be like the sons of
Like,
Sceva.
so the word says some things come out with fasting and praying, and I haven't done that
I
yet.
haven't done that. I had Burger King before I got here,
I
and
feel a little gurgly. I
I
don't
feel
think that's the
gurgly.
Holy Ghost.
Nope. And if I keep messing with this demon, I'm gonna run out this building naked, and nobody want that. Nobody wants that, Carla.
Oh my
So
goodness.
yeah, there
Oh,
was.
I think I know what church you're talking about.
We- eh,
Well,
Go ahead.
there's a church though where like the pastor would be like, "You don't mess with the man of God."
Oh God.
It was like
Yes.
the favorite line.
Yeah, don't mess with the man guy. And oh man, and that pastor was like, I don't get sick. I don't get ill ever. And then when I got sick, he was like, you know why you get sick, right? I said, because I have ulcers, which I'm having an ulcer now. Because I have ulcers. No, because you have sin in your life. I was like, or you stressing me out.
or
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 there is another option.
oh, and Anisha's right. These are the reasons why people don't go to church.
No, yeah, these are the reasons.
But you know what too? Just on the other coin of it, and this is for leaders, and I think you're gonna agree with me on this, Ramon, is like we have to understand that the people that are a part of the church are not perfect.
No, yeah,
And as leaders, like you have to have some type of humility in admitting that you just don't know it all. And
hmm
it's okay to not be perfect.
I agree with that 100%.
I'm not talking about deliberate sin. I'm not saying that.
Right.
I'm saying it's okay not to be perfect. And also for the church goers, you can't hold leaders and put them in God's position. I mean, people make mistakes.
hmm
So
And
that
they're
there's
going to make mistakes.
there's the other side of that too. Like not everybody is going to be perfect, but there's a fine line between like absolutely ridiculous and just making a human error.
Yes, and because of the world we live in, and we're in the content space, we're in the media space. If we act like we're not, we're not as consistent as we should be. But we discuss the extremes,
Right.
right? On Epic Thoughts, we discuss the extremes. We've experienced some extremes, but we
Right.
discuss the extremes, like the pastor that was laying hands on naked women. Remember him?
Oh, yeah.
Because they had sexual demons in them and they had to release them. But so we always speak on the extreme. So if you're in any situation like that where there's abuse happening, um, there should not be a conversation. There should not be a conversation at all. If there's abuse happening in your church, get the hell out of that church. I'm just
Yeah.
get out.
Yeah.
100%. And abuse is relative, right? Like we do have to kind of break down the definition of abuse, and we don't have time to do that now. But I'm talking about blatant, over the top abuse. Like,
Well, there's a story I just read of a pastor in Indiana who was having a relationship with a girl for nine
yes,
years. Did you know which one I'm talking about? Did I send that to you?
I think so. And they got married.
No, they didn't get married. She was having an affair with him for 9 years, but the relationship started when she was 16.
Oh snap!
And she went in front of the congregation and like outed him.
Hmm.
And he told the truth. He was like, yep, I did that. I took her virginity when she was 16. But I guess at that time, the age of consent in Indiana was 16 years old.
Hmm.
And so I'm like, what a disgusting abuse of power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Dis abuse of power,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. Yeah. And we talked about it in detail. Like that's why I'm saying abuse is relative. That if you're in a church like that, and we always ask this question. We always get these stories. People send us stories. People tell us stories, and then we go, and how? And then when the church shut down the next day, like no, no, no. People kept coming. I'm like, why do you keep going? As I think attention and here, like you said, religion is the serving of man. Attention is power to these people. Attention is power. So when you keep going to the service, you keep giving them attention. You're you are encouraging the behavior. You are enabling the mentality. You're saying it's okay. Let you can keep going. I'll keep listening to you. I forgive you, which is powerful to forgive. Forgiveness is a powerful, powerful tool. But you're talking about a leader that's supposed to take you to another level in Christ and help you through this tough time called America 2022. You know what I'm saying? Like people need some real help out here. People need some real help. Um, I had a situation I told you about. I had a situation with a pastor last week where I came face to face with this dude, And I told him to his face, I was like, I stopped doing my church so people like you who want to do everything can do your job. So do your freaking job. And unfortunately for me and him, I didn't say freaking, but I told him to do I told him to do his job. And it's because, he had abused his members. I don't care what anybody said. That man abused his members. And I think there's a heavy, heavy, heavy burden for people who want to be pastors and who calling themselves pastors. I'm not calling them pastors. They call themselves pastors and not doing the work of Christ. They're not meeting the needs of the people. They're not feeding anybody. They're not helping anybody. They're just doing long series and really not speaking to what people are struggling with and going through. People are hungry.
My issue more than anything is that, and this is like a common theme that I see, is like people are more concerned about what the church can do for them as opposed to what they can do for the church.
Okay. Elaborate.
Huh?
Elaborate for me.
Like, I think it's great to have programs for your kids and all of these things to get them involved. But if we're looking at the church beyond the building, you have to also, in my opinion, be somebody that serves.
Hmm. I
It's
think
just
there's a dichotomy. Go
a
ahead.
part of the cycle.
Hmm.
And so you can't just be, you shouldn't be somebody who attends church just to sit and take and take resources from the church without putting back into it.
Well, there's a partnership. Like there's a partnership that definitely needs to be happening. Um, and this is not meant. Listen, this is the episodes of not meant to be a bashing on the church because we truly love the church. That's why we talk about it so much because we love it. Me and you met in church. We talked
Right.
about it's crazy how now your daughter is the same age you were when you met me,
Yep.
and this is an interesting cycle that we've now reached. A pinnacle in a relationship. Um, we
That we're
we
old.
the world.
Yeah.
Not as old as others, but at least we're not grandparents.
Praise God.
Praise the Lord. Um, but but we're not trying to like just talk bad about the church. We love the church. We want the church to do right. And then we see situations like what's going on in the world today, and we're like, yo, if the church was on its game, the church has an answer. And you're right. Like I there needs to be a partnership. Like, yeah, I can come and serve. And like you said, and everyone says, and even the churches that we talk about say from a pulpit, the church is more than just the walls. We're not just the four walls. We are the people. The people is the church. Okay, well, we need to go and a community that overtakes and does what they, like you said, what the government should be doing. Like, you know, can we go there? Let's go there. I don't care. It's our show. Who they gonna do? Cancel us? Instead of picketing about at the abortion clinics, why are we not adopting the orphans? Why is the body not adopting the orphans? I've been trying to adopt a little Asian boy since I was like 22, but they won't give they won't give him to me. But whatever. He all right now. I know Johnny Hidalgo out there
And
and you
there's
do
a lot of organizations that do, but there needs to be more.
yeah. But I'm just saying, but don't you think I think the church could end. I honestly personally believe the church can end homelessness. I think the church can end um the orphan epidemic. You know,
Because the church is supposed to fund, okay, let's break it down this way. If the actual definition of church is ecclesia, which is called out ones, which is supposed to be to encourage one another in the faith.
yes.
If the money for the church is supposed to be for the community, why are we in multi-million dollar buildings enjoying the air conditioning, enjoying the lights, enjoying the great music, and not doing anything else?
Right. Right.
It makes no sense.
With 52 messages a year. I sit through 52 messages a year. If you go to church, like there's only so many ways you can tell me the story of David. I know the story now. I figured it out. I know what he did. Today I want to talk about David. Okay, good, good. So there's times where I'm be sitting in church like, do I have to be here right now for this one? I know the story. He walked on water. Peter came out. He looked away. Wave overtake him, and now that so I can get a job now. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? If I keep my eye on Jesus, then I can get a job. Like I know where we're going. I know the stories. I they'll read even when they were like, today we're gonna preach out of the book of Exodus, chapter 3. So we're gonna talk about this. Okay. We're talking about Moses right now. I'm talking about Moses and the burning. I was like, okay. There's I understand that there's new revelation every day and the Bible's constantly speaking to us, but there's only so much you can sit there and listen to before you realize you didn't hear anything, you know.
And also too, I want to make this full circle, and Anisha was a part of. I've known Anisha a very long time.
Mhm.
The best years of my life have been in youth group, okay? Some of the best years of my life, and the friendships and the people that I've met. Full circle. We were a community, okay?
Within the
Those
community.
within a community. Those years of my life, I'm thankful that I had the friends that I had, because I don't know what the trajectory of my life would have been if I did not have people like you, Pastor Mark, Anisha, and all the other people that I went to youth group with.
Mhm.
SYC for me did what it was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
And I'm yeah, row babies, exactly. Um, I'm thankful for the ministry. I'm thankful for all of that. In addition to that though, how much outreach did you guys do? A lot.
We did. We did a lot of outreach. We were constantly doing outreach.
Exactly. And you guys were constantly like, at some point SYC became a place where teenagers came and brought their parents.
Yes. Yeah.
And the church is so afraid to do outreach for whatever reason. I mean, I don't, it's like the pastor just wants to hoard people. I don't know. I don't understand.
I think there's several reasons because we say we want new faces, but we don't want certain new faces. That's what I feel. I feel like the church says we want new faces, but they want certain new faces. Like I hate the white churches that hire the black guy
Oh,
because it's
I was about to touch on it. I didn't want to touch on it because that drives me nuts.
like you hire the black guy, but it's not you didn't hire the black guy. You know what I'm saying? Like you're like, okay, you're making me comfortable with this hire, but he don't represent all of us. You know what I'm saying? And it's very clear and it's very evident. Or like you want the certain type of people. I remember somebody told me something like they was like they don't most churches don't want real G's in the church. It was a rapper. He was like, they don't want real G's. They act like they want G's, but they want the moment we get there, they want to change us from who we are. And he goes, and I think part of the reason is because we don't have a filter. And if something is off kilter a little bit, we're gonna be like, hey, cuz that ain't straight. And then they'll say something. You know,
Yeah.
that's exactly how he said it to me. They were, hey, cuz ain't straight. And then they'll have to make an adjustment. And people don't want to be called out on their stuff. And sometimes maybe a call out is necessary. To be like, hey, how you gonna tell me to do this, but then you over here flirting with homegirl over here? Everybody else in your church thought that was they just bypassed it. No one want to talk about because we don't speak on the pastor, we don't speak on the man of God. But then do come in and be like, hey man, I seen people like that before. Not like they're calling somebody out to be wrong or something like that. They're just saying, yo, there's a different way of processing it. You're doing this wrong. Um, go ahead.
No, and can we take to add to that?
Okay.
Um, you know how like people love saying that Christians shouldn't judge and all this other stuff?
Hmm.
Like I truly believe that if you are a brother or sister in Christ, let's like redefine the word judge.
Yes.
I'm not condemning you. I'm
Yeah.
holding you accountable.
Yeah.
We can hold each other accountable. me and you've been friends for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's right, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm not judging you because I'm still your friend. I
Mm-hmm.
still love and care about you. I'm not cutting my relationship off with you. Like, it's not that type of relationship because it's evolved into genuine relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I think that people in church use other people
Mm-hmm.
to fulfill their aspirations and ambitions instead
Yeah.
of just genuinely caring about people.
Yeah. And I never thought that you had judged me, even when you call me out on stuff. I think judgment is different. When people say judge, I think of somebody who passes sentencing.
And somebody who act like they ain't got no issues.
Right. Like that what you would have to pass in order to pass sentencing, you have to be like a judge in a courtroom. They didn't break a law, so they have the right to say you deserve to do this. You
Right.
know, that's yeah. So in me, that's what I think judge. But when we the Bible even tells us that you confess your faults one to another. You know what I'm saying? And it's freeing when I be like, Carla, look, this is what happened. I can't even think of I can think of a few. I just don't think of any I can share here.
But
Like, you know,
it's fine. It's fine.
yeah. Like Carla, look, this is what I did, blah, 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 whoop, whoop. And then he said this, I said that, then I hit him. Or whatever.
Damn.
That's the I can hear I always hear you did what? I did, yeah. Whoop, 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 whoop. I probably wouldn't do that, bro. That's not probably the action I would take, and stuff like that. That's real kind of friendship right there where we can be honest with each other and cover. And then the Bible continues to say that love covers a multitude of sins.
Right.
We've like, yo, I'm gonna walk with you through this one. This one, there's been times where you've said to me, yo, you kind of you messed up on this one. I ain't gonna lie, you jacked this one up, but you're my cousin, you're my brother. I love you, and we're gonna get through this together. We're gonna get through this together. But I'm telling you, it's gonna be a hard little road. You got, you got, you got a
I was
lot of
like,
things.
I don't know how you get out of this, but all right, work it out.
We're gonna have okay. And I think I've heard you say more than anything. Are we doing this? We doing this? Okay, we doing this. So
Is this where we're going?
this is where we're going. This is
All right.
okay. This is
Let me buckle up.
yeah, and it's of interest, man. And I think there's so much freedom. I think people don't understand the freedom of having community,
Yeah.
and the freedom of having a true community where you don't have to perform for anybody. So that's
Mm-hmm.
the last part of it we could talk about is like you don't have to perform for a true community, people who love you regardless of what you do. You know,
I wanted to give an example. The community I live in is very unique.
yes,
And I have a group of friends and we're all really different. And I told them, the girls in our group, I told them everybody's very quirky, everybody has different personalities, but I expressed like I love you guys even though, you know, let me backtrack. A lot of the times they're worried about what other people think.
yes,
And I'm like, listen, me personally, if I'm your friend, I mean it. I'm your friend.
hmm
You don't have to worry about what I think because I'm going to be your friend. If I choose to be your friend, you
hmm
be you. There may be things about you that are not in my preference per se,
hmm
or
hmm
that maybe I would do differently, but I'm still going to love you for you and still be your friend.
yeah,
And that's to me real community. It's like if I choose to roll with you, like I'm a roll.
hmm
And the church needs to be more like that. Like
yeah,
like for example, if there's a mother that chooses to keep her baby, where are the mothers of that church to help that girl with that child?
hmm It has to be Carla. It has to be more than word porn. It has to be more than word porn.
More.
It can't be
Absolutely.
we're here for you. We love you. No, love is an
No, be
action,
here.
bro.
Be
Be
here.
there. Be there.
Yeah.
Stop. And we're talking to y'all pastors right now. I'm gonna talk to y'all pastors right now, man to man or man to woman, whoever you are. Stop telling people at funerals that you're gonna be there for the family and then not be there for that family. How dare you? Who the hell you think you are? Like you better make some phone calls and make some cookies and get over to that house and make sure and hug them. Like people who mourn, like, yo, like, don't just say you're gonna be there. Actually be there. The church is not about Carla. You know what? The church is not about people coming to my church to get filled. It's actually about me going to the people that need to be filled.
That's right.
Bro, there's so many moments in my life coming up in ministry where I thought to myself, this is what Jesus would do. And like I would literally sit and like, what should I do here? This is what Jesus would do. And I remember two situations. One was, I don't want to get too much into it, but when I had to go look for somebody, right?
Yeah.
I was in the hood of San Bernardino looking for a dude.
One of the most dangerous places in the United States.
And I was looking for a dude that was living on the streets and his family was missing him. And the craziest thing is I ended up finding them. That was hilarious. But I was in different places that a pastor shouldn't be. And I was like sitting here thinking, and I remember thinking to myself, his pastor should be out here looking for this dude. Why am I out here looking for him? Because
or a private investigator.
or somebody. And look, I'm out here looking for him again. I'll tell you about that later.
Oof.
And then the story goes on. But then the other situation was COVID. COVID had just started, and we had a young mother at Heritage Grace Church, our church, a young mother. And I remember being at a grocery store, and it was during the time where people was like hoarding stuff, that they were hoarding diapers and toilet paper. And I remember being on the phone. I would check in with different members of Heritage Grace, like, yo, you good? You straight? Would you need anything? Just being a good pastor. And I remember being at Walmart, and I didn't need diapers. I didn't need wipes. I was straight. And I saw diapers and wipes. And I was like, you know what? Such and such said that she needed diapers and wipes, and she couldn't find them anywhere. And I bought her a pack of diapers and wipes, and I went and delivered it to her house. And then I remember calling somebody else up and say, yo, you need anything? I'm going to the store. You need something? And I just thought to myself, that's something that a shepherd should do. Right. Somebody who helps people should do that. And so I'm calling you out, man. I'm not calling you out, Carl. I'm calling out pastors. I'm calling out leaders. I'm calling out people are graduating from seminary school, and you're super excited and you're preaching. You have a message that you got to preach to your congregation this week about the manifestation of the outlasting of the outliers of Christ. Just go wash the nigga feet and and help them. Help people. Go help somebody. Like just heal the wounds of people who've been wounded by church. Go help people who are broken and they need freedom, man. But yo, it's 10:39 where you are.
That's my bedtime.
It is way past your bedtime. So I think I've had Carla out here long enough. It's been 58 minutes. Carla, thanks for doing Epic Thoughts with me.
I'll tell you what, it will talk tomorrow because you got to update me apparently.
Yeah, and I'll tell you right now, this episode would have been a lot worse if you didn't get on it with me. Because I had something else. I had something else brewing in my heart that I was like, I'm about to let everybody have it, and then
it turned.
It turned. We started talking about Jesus and stuff. And
love you, Anisha.
Love you too, Anisha. Thanks for watching, man. Hey, don't forget, everybody. We still got stuff on our Heritage Park production website. You can check it out. And if you're not watching HPTV, man, what's wrong with you? We got our episode Superficially Deep. We've done 9 episodes Superficially Deep. Is available on HPTV, and it's no longer just on Roku. It's on Amazon Prime, Apple TV, and there's even apps, man. But all that information you can be found on our website. We even have our HP radio. We have so much stuff. We're more than just this podcast. So check it out, heritageparkprod.com. We even have our store. Support us, support this company by purchasing stuff on our drop shipping store. It's available right there on heritageparkprod.com. And there go Ivy from the next room. What's up?
Bro, he's sitting right in front of me. Literally, I can't.
All right, then. So we got a great show, man. Thanks for coming out, DJ such and such. Bye, Carla. Have a good one. Bye, Ivy. Bye, Anisha. Have a good one. God bless.